Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble.
Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours.
My mic is turned off, sorry. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. Come back later.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe! What is it?
You got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals.
I take it Lana's having you run errands again.
Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here. She asked me to give you this to you if there was a break in today's trial.
Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day.
These are the true rules of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department.
Is that right, Mr. Wright?
Seems so.
You could at least study some evidence law. Really?
The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message.
A message?
She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book.
Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read.
Doesn't look like that book will do any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence.
That's where you're wrong, Detective.
Huh?
Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat. Despite all these allegations being thrown at me.
Edgeworth.
The real trial today hasn't begun yet.
What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined to forge evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skies found out about that she unwittingly caused the man's death. Now you're telling me you want to do more? More? I don't know. You gotta be kidding me, pal.
You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there.
What?
We're going to expose him. No matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end.
February 25th, 12:52. District Court, courtroom number 9. Will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Sky. Miss Lana Sky. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions.
Thank you for the news, Your Honors.
Yes! Well, normally this is where the prosecution calls for a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have,
Struck a bug. You think I may manipulated the witnesses?
I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and...
Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution.
Solution?
That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses.
Precedent for what you're proposing.
Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It will prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses.
Mr. Wright, what do you say?
Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal.
The, defense may now call forth the next witness.
Mr. Wright. You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over.
Defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Blue Badge and Mike Meekins. Who the thunk at Great Partnership. Take that! Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand.
Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything?
As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it.
As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor?
True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand.
Witness, please say your name and occupation.
What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch!
Your name and occupation, sir.
Wally, are you sure you want to do this?
Your name and occupation.
So, you want to play hardball, eh?
Please, Mr. Gant.
Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police.
Now then, Chief Gant, court requests to hear your testimony.
Oh, righto! What's with the grim face?
First, let's clear up this SL9 incident.
Oh, you mean that time with Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Oh, yeah. Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already.
There are still some things unaccounted for.
Oh? Like what?
Like the role you played in all of this.
Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal.
Weapons?
Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to.
What? Is that true?
I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify.
Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you.
No, we now begin his testimony.
As I recall, Neo and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. The power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery.
Is that when Dark was arrested?
Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious.
F.
When Emma sent Neo flying, it seems Dark bumped his head.
I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut.
If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Hold it! As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day.
Yeah, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neo was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Doc and made him run away like that.
Was the defendant Lana Sky also present?
I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Doc ran for it.
So the two of you ran immediately after, right?
That's right. But Doc made it to the elevator first. So Neo and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky.
What's this about a power outage?
Oh, that! The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Whoa. Probably not as shocked as Neo was when that knife went to his heart though.
That's not funny. Hold it! Could you tell us what you saw?
It was a shocking sight. I do say shock a lot for some reason. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together.
Art was also lying collapsed on the floor?
Yes, apparently hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls.
Lana and Emma.
Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done.
How can you know that?
Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved.
So that means you found the body near Lana's desk.
That's right. I think you said earlier, it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor.
Yes.
Anyway,
Hold it! So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office?
that's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt. But moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances.
Is that how it really went down?
Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, you can't outstare me.
You're going to stare at
I'll
anything.
try.
Stare at me.
Oh boy.
No, you can't say that in front of the jury.
You're better off staring at the court record, and then me.
Oh, they worthy. Always the smooth talker.
But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Objection! You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up.
Explain yourself.
Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example.
That blue badger you showed us earlier!
A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk.
Found where?
You see, Chief Gant. These articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Gant! What's the meaning of this?
Huh. Here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy.
So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery?
Who, me? Or do you mean you?
Me? Why would I have anything to do with it?
Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys could do so too. Isn't that right, Righto?
Objection! However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation.
worry, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment.
What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work.
Yes! In light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office. And their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put 2 and 2 together. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office! Huh. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Doc was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor?
investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol.
You do understand that I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences.
Ooh. Thanks, Discord.
Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again.
Apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know.
Alright, Archie. In return, though,
No, I know that place, right?
What are these guys? Telepathic? Hold it! I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations.
yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that.
What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped all the cows.
Right! What are you saying?
Excuse me.
Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry any evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're gonna need it later.
What are you talking about?
What else? I'm talking about when Wright's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, it will prove his investigation was illegal!
I've never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Hold it! What do you mean by that?
This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't it necessarily constitute forgery?
Objection! If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery,
I'm not through speaking yet, Righto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered.
objection! This evidence clearly reveals the contradiction in that statement, Your Honor.
Exactly are that evidence and the statement just now related?
Your Honor.
Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think the facts over before making accusations.
You fool!
I don't think that won me any points with the judge.
Kamoruga!
Hold it! How can you look me in the eye and say that?
Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil?
Not sure I care for the word murder here. But in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye.
Well, now do you see?
Hold it! Really, Chief Gant?
True.
At the very least, there is one very large benefit reaped from all of this.
Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit?
That would, of course, be the position you have. Chief of Police.
Oh,
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive.
Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you really think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean?
Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SO9 merely sped up the inevitable a little.
Is that true, Edgeworth?
Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway.
Ah!
Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at.
So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit sorcery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else.
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only three people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Archie, would you mind if I change my testimony a little?
by all means, please do!
I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me.
Hold it! Nothing in it for you?
Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again.
You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone.
Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised.
You seem to be laughing up on yourself, though.
Oh, that's a good one, Wolfie.
Would there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out?
I like how his
True,
whole
you
defense.
might not.
I like how his whole defense is just, I'm a bad person.
But I did actually do it.
Your Honor.
True, you might not help out anyone for their sake.
Who was that?
But if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Someone said Your Honor. I was very curious. Never mind.
Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
And $50.
That's not what I mean.
Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
Like,
It's my boy Meekins! It's Gumshoe.
that.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky? The defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Sky fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Sky was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
To tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh! Wait! You must mean puppet, as in someone forced to do his bidding! Never mind!
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Sky in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her.
Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something.
What?
Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing?
Lana. She's keeping quiet to protect them. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
Proof? This all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her.
Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
You mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement.
Order! Order! I said order! Mr. Wright! You can't be serious!
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our entire law enforcement agency! to accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible!
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language.
Throw under the bus.
Too late, Mr. Wright.
Oh, come on.
There's no turning back for us now. Get married. In the court.
We're in the trial. Looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder?
Question.
Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. Alright then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us the evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
Did you know that this case has a
Oh,
Like that.
D-card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
good job, Righto. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number.
It's your number.
Oh,
How do you know that?
Safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
Just, you don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
Order! Chief Gant! What do you have to say?
fuck, I thought that was a good passcode. Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations.
And I would demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime?
What about it? I'm chief of police. Well, it's the evidence room or the bathroom. What's the difference? I can go piss anywhere I want.
Tell me. Will you enter
Stop
the room?
touching that jar, Phoenix.
Did you piss in that jar? Will you alone?
I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do in the evidence room.
Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day. the bathroom, of course. With me.
You need a tag partner, right? Buddy system.
Just saying,
There-
even with my boy Grant.
They were having a sword fight in the bathroom.
That's what Emma saw. Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days.
Objection! You haven't seen him in days. Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
Trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
Objection! No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime. And we can determine one thing. The future
God,
What transpired during that meeting?
what have I done?
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence.
Oh god, I guess.
Show us proof that the victim went to pee in the evidence room.
Oh my God. Oh, what have I done?
That Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime.
Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it.
So Detective Goodman filled out lost item reports. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police.
Yet you are in possession of the report. Which means you can't be sure if he filed it.
He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
He needed to.
Yes, to transfer the evidence out.
Oh,
Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the bathroom.
Oh no. Do you want to check that statement just in case? Do you stand by that statement, Phoenix?
How dare you?
Sure you don't want
to
to.
suggest such a thing.
Blasphemy.
I guess he just wants to say about that statement.
I mean, I accompanied him to the pee-pee room.
There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room.
Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. Your next line is I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman.
Exactly.
But there's more. The chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort.
Objection! Sorry, but that's not possible.
What?
According to the record, your card was only used once. So you showed a stray key card over here. You didn't really lent it to Detective Goodman. It would have been found on his body.
Oh!
Wait, did my mic cut off?
We heard the like middle of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh!
There we go.
Chief Gantz! You didn't!
It was just one time. I mean,
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course.
Objection! You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office. How did he manage to move it there?
I was at the police department the entire day, you know.
And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Pretty quiet here.
Yeah, couldn't hear you.
Whoops, one second. One sec. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police at your disposal.
Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you! Take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so.
Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. All this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space.
How could the chief have moved the body? Sir Wright, show us this evidence!
You moved the victim's body. Chief Gantz used this. That? Well?
I see. Maybe I'll use this later to move your dead body, Mr. Wright.
Huh?
And I'll help you dispose of it!
Yeah!
Teamwork!
Chief Gantz stayed at the PD, and Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office. That leaves only one possible way he could have moved the body. The only problem is, how did he get him to do it? Maybe that piece of evidence really did have something to do with this case.
How could the chief have moved the body?
Is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
Screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here?
It's here because... Ah! I was asked to go, by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office.
But you did, because Chief Gantz asked you to.
You mean
The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye.
Order! What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in a trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite.
It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Chief Gantz, please say something.
I believe your time's up.
My time's up?
Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special.
Objection! But the cross-examination isn't finished yet.
Remember what I told you earlier. A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal.
Weapons?
Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
Right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Objection! Objection! So you're going to just run away after all of this?
Run away? Don't make me laugh, Wally. I'm going to swim away. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now.
Well,
Well, you think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Kent is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without complete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gantz murdered Detective Goodman and made Skye dispose of his body?
do I have any concrete proof?
You have no such thing. Ha ha ha! No, but seriously, you don't. Yeah, that's right. You don't.
It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence.
CRG.
Case! This court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief.
What?
Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was just on my side again today. Okay, Ozzy, I'll leave the rest to you.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Objection! Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Hedgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't had the honor of hearing her testimony.
A lady who knows the truth. Another witness.
In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony.
But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to
Testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is one calling witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth. But we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth. Take that!
The defendant, Miss Lana Sky?
He was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. The court is now in
I think that's... Oh. It's... Jant.
Hold on! Ozzy, hold on!
Huh? Chief Gantz? I thought you were going to eat!
Listen good, Lana!
He's talking to Lana.
I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder.
This isn't good.
Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet.
Okay! If there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess.
Time to go play.
February 25th, 2:04 p.m. District Court, defendant live number 2.
Looks like we matched the indicator.
Yeah. Thanks to your help, Edgeworth.
Oh,
Definitely want to take over.
someone who hasn't Jack or Drew, maybe? Sure. Any of you want?
I can't tell if you are.
I'm not a detective anymore.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office!
My office?
Sure! I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with.
What do you mean? Maya?
Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand?
It's not fair. He has the right to refuse to testify.
Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said.
Chief! It is not a right to be casually invoked! There are certain risks to be considered.
Risks? What did he mean by that?
Simple. The chief refuses to testify. The opposite also holds true. I think that's Ayla.
Who it is?
Is that me?
And probably you.
Okay. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too?
Are you okay?
Yeah. When I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery.
So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before.
No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved.
Relieved?
Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me.
Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way.
What do you mean?
What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside. And forced herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do.
That must be why she became so cold.
It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
We live in a society.
We live in a society.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor.
I see.
Well, we'd better get back. It's time for the final act.
Emma, why don't you wait here?
No, I'm going with you. want to be there. When Lana tells the truth.
Let's go, Wright. Hand in hand. It's time to end this.
Together in arms.
Alright, let's take a small break.
I'm not gonna have any lines for a while, right? At least for this part.
Yeah, it will take you a little while for you to show up.
Got it. Okay, got it. I'll be back.
Oh my, final part.
It'll be a long night.
Yeah, almost done. We're almost done though. Almost done. Oh my god, this is such a fun.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, good.
More than halfway.
Yeah, well, this part is also actually pretty long. Alright, let's take like a 5-minute-ish break. Then we'll resume and we'll get done. Get this bread.